right now, something has already begun, and most people are completely unaware of it. A quiet shift has opened, a narrow window that does not wait for attention, does not announce itself loudly, and does not give second chances easily. April 14th is not just another date passing on the calendar. It sits at the center of a 72-hour window that is already in motion, and while everything may look normal on the outside, underneath the surface there is a change unfolding that can influence decisions, emotions, and direction in ways that are easy to miss if you are not paying attention. Many will go through these days like any other, distracted, busy, and disconnected, and that is exactly why they will miss what could have been a turning point. Because the truth is simple, this kind of moment does not stay open for long, and once it closes, it does not reopen the same way again. There is a reason why certain days feel heavier, sharper, or more intense without any clear explanation. There is a reason why thoughts become louder, why choices suddenly feel more important, and why a quiet sense of urgency starts to build without warning. This is not random. This is not just mood or coincidence. This is timing. And timing, when it aligns in a certain way, creates rare windows where things can shift faster than usual. The 72-hour portal surrounding April 14th is one of those windows. It is subtle but powerful. It does not force change, but it amplifies it. It does not create your path, but it reveals it more clearly than before. And the difference between those who notice it and those who ignore it can be the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. What makes this even more important is how easy it is to overlook. There are no alarms, no obvious signs that stand out to everyone. Instead, it shows up quietly through small signals that many dismiss. A sudden need to pause, a feeling that something needs to change, a sense that certain patterns are no longer working. These are not distractions, these are indicators. And during this window, those indicators become stronger. But most people will ignore them. They will scroll, rush, react, and move on without realizing they were standing right in the middle of a moment that could have changed everything for them. And once it passes, they will not even realize what they missed. This is why what you are about to hear matters. In this video, you are going to understand exactly what this 72-hour window really is, why April 14th acts as a peak point within it, and how this period quietly affects your thoughts, your focus, and your decisions. You will see why some people feel pressure during this time while others feel clarity, and why both are part of the same process. You will also learn how to recognize the signs that show you are already connected to this shift, even if you did not notice it before. These are not random ideas or empty concepts. These are patterns that repeat in cycles, moments that come and go, but only become useful when you are aware of them. As this video unfolds, each part will connect step by step, revealing what is really happening beneath the surface and why awareness during this time is more important than action. Because the biggest mistake is not doing the wrong thing, it is not noticing that the moment itself exists. By the end, you will see this period differently. You will recognize what most people overlook, and more importantly, you will understand what to pay attention to before this window closes. That is why staying until the end matters, because missing even one piece of this can leave the picture incomplete, and this is one of those times where clarity depends on seeing the full sequence, not just fragments. So stay focused, because this is not just information to hear and forget. This is something to notice in real time, something that is already unfolding as you listen, and once you become aware of it, you will not see these days the same way again. Welcome to the channel, and if you want to stay ahead of moments like this, where timing, awareness, and understanding come together in ways most people miss, make sure to subscribe and stay connected, because what you are about to discover is only the beginning. This is a 72-hour window that moves quietly, without noise, without any clear signal that tells everyone at once that something has begun, and that is exactly why it goes unnoticed by most people. It doesn't last long, and it does not wait for anyone to catch up. It has already begun, even before many realized there was anything to notice, and it ends faster than you think, closing just as silently as it opened. There is no visible line marking its start or end, no external sign that confirms it in an obvious way, yet its presence can be felt in the way thoughts shift, in the way emotions rise and fall with more intensity than usual, and in the way certain moments suddenly feel heavier or more meaningful than they did before. It is not something that forces itself into your life, but something that subtly surrounds it, influencing the pace and direction of things without demanding attention, and only those who slow down enough begin to sense that something is different, something is moving, something is changing beneath the surface in a way that cannot be easily explained but can definitely be felt. This kind of window is rare not because it is dramatic or loud, but because it is precise, short, and easy to miss. It does not come with guarantees, and it does not promise results, but it creates conditions where results can happen faster if the moment is recognized. Most people move through it without noticing anything at all, continuing their routines, reacting the same way, thinking the same thoughts, and making the same decisions, completely unaware that the timing around them has shifted in a subtle but important way. And because they do not notice, nothing changes for them. The window passes, and everything stays the same, not because change was not possible, but because awareness was not there. The few who do notice it often cannot explain it clearly, but they feel it strongly enough to pause, to question, to observe, and that alone begins to separate them from the rest. You may already feel it in ways that are hard to describe but easy to recognize once you pay attention. There may be a sense that something is slightly off, not wrong, but different. Thoughts may come faster or feel more important. Small decisions may suddenly feel heavier, like they carry more weight than usual. There might be moments of confusion where nothing seems clear, followed by moments of unexpected clarity where everything feels simple and direct. This movement between confusion and clarity is not random. It is part of the shift happening in real time. Pressure may build without a clear source, or a quiet inner voice may become stronger, guiding attention towards something that has been ignored for too long. Energy may feel unstable, rising and falling, pulling you toward reflection one moment and action the next. None of this is accidental. It is not just mood, and it is not something to dismiss quickly. It is the environment of this window shaping the internal experience, making certain patterns more visible and certain choices more important. What makes this moment matter is not just that it exists, but how it interacts with your awareness. When awareness is low, everything feels normal, even when it is not. When awareness increases, patterns begin to stand out, and what once felt automatic begins to feel intentional. This is where the difference starts to show. Some people will notice the shift and begin to question their reactions, their habits, their direction. Others will continue without pause, missing the signals completely. The moment does not force anyone to see it. It simply offers the possibility, and the rest depends on attention. This is why two people can go through the same period and come out with completely different results. One feels stuck, unchanged, and unaware that anything even happened. The other feels like something shifted, even if they cannot fully explain it, and that feeling becomes the start of something new. Most people will miss this completely, not because it is hidden in a complicated way, but because it requires a level of attention that they are not used to giving. They stay busy, distracted, and unaware, filling their time with noise, movement, and constant input that leaves no space to notice subtle changes. Every signal that appears gets ignored or pushed aside. Every moment that invites reflection gets replaced with distraction. And that is exactly why nothing changes for them. It is not a lack of opportunity. It is not a lack of potential. It is a lack of awareness. When everything is rushed, nothing is seen clearly. When everything is filled with noise, nothing quiet can be heard. This window does not compete with distractions. It does not push through them. It simply fades into the background for those who do not slow down, and once it fades, it is gone. The unaware mind moves automatically, repeating patterns without question, reacting instead of observing, and choosing without considering why. During this window, those patterns become more visible, but only if there is a willingness to see them. Without that willingness, the patterns continue as usual, and the opportunity to shift them passes unnoticed. This is why awareness becomes the key difference. It is not about doing more, it is about noticing more. It is about seeing what is already happening instead of looking for something new to appear. The window does not create new problems or new paths. It reveals existing ones with more clarity, making it easier to see what needs to change and what needs to stay. This is not about fantasy. It is not about something outside of reality or disconnected from everyday life. It is about timing, and timing has always played a role in how things unfold. There are moments when everything moves slowly, where effort feels heavy and results take time. And there are moments when things align in a way that allows movement to happen faster, where decisions carry more weight and outcomes form more quickly. This is one of those moments. It is a period where alignment becomes possible, where a reset can begin, where a decision made with awareness can have a stronger impact than it would at another time. But only if you are conscious of it. Without consciousness, it becomes just another passing period, no different from any other day. Moments where things can shift faster are not common, but they are also not rare in the way people expect. They exist in cycles, appearing quietly and disappearing just as quietly. What makes them rare is not their existence, but the number of people who actually recognize them while they are happening. Most realize only after looking back and noticing that something felt different, that something could have been done differently, that something important was present but not understood at the time. This is why awareness in the present matters more than reflection in the past. Once the moment is gone, it cannot be used the same way again. If you have been feeling a pull toward change, even if you cannot define what that change is, that is one of the signs. If thoughts have been repeating more than usual, circling around the same ideas, asking for attention, that is another sign. If emotions have been rising unexpectedly, creating waves that feel stronger than usual, that is also part of it. If there is a growing sense that something needs to be addressed, something needs to be faced, something needs to be decided, then you are already inside this window. It does not require belief. It does not require understanding. It only requires noticing. These signs are not random, and they are not separate from each other. They are connected, forming a pattern that becomes clearer the more you pay attention. Overthinking, often seen as a problem, can become a signal during this time, pointing towards something that has not been resolved. Strong intuition, often ignored, becomes more noticeable, offering direction in a way that feels different from normal thinking. A sudden desire to step away from certain habits or situations can appear, not as a forced decision, but as a natural shift in preference. Emotional waves may rise, not to create chaos, but to bring hidden things to the surface. Each of these signs serves a purpose, and together they create a picture that shows where attention is needed. Ignoring them keeps everything the same. Noticing them begins to change how things are seen. April 14th stands at the center of this period, acting as a peak where everything becomes more intense, more clear, and more important. It is not just another day within the window. It is the point where the effects are strongest, where decisions feel heavier, and where awareness can make the biggest difference. What happens before this day builds toward it, and what happens after begins to settle from it. This is where the turning point exists, not because something external changes suddenly, but because internal clarity reaches a level that makes action or inaction more meaningful. This is where most people lose the opportunity, not because they are incapable, but because they remain unaware until the peak has already passed. What you do before and after this point matters, not in terms of dramatic action, but in terms of attention. The way you observe your thoughts, the way you respond to your emotions, and the way you approach decisions all carry more weight during this time. Rushing through it removes the advantage. Ignoring it removes the possibility. But slowing down, even slightly, begins to reveal what is actually happening. This is where awareness becomes practical, not just an idea, but a way of moving through the moment with more clarity and less confusion. Pause, even if only for a short moment, and allow space for observation. Pay attention to what stands out, what repeats, what feels different. Do not rush decisions. especially those that feel important, because clarity comes from seeing fully, not from reacting quickly. Listen to what feels right, not in a dramatic or emotional way, but in a quiet and steady way that does not demand attention but remains consistent when noticed. This is not about adding new actions or creating new routines. It is about adjusting how you move through what is already happening. As the window continues, these small shifts in awareness begin to build, creating a different experience of the same period. What feels confusing at first may start to make sense. What feels heavy may begin to lighten. What feels unclear may slowly become more defined. And all of this happens without forcing anything, simply by noticing what is already there. This window will close just like it opened, quietly and without warning, slipping away while most people remain distracted, unaware that anything meaningful was even there. Life will go on as usual for them. The same thoughts, the same patterns, the same results repeating again and again, never realizing that they stood in the middle of a moment that could have shifted something inside them. Because moments like this do not wait, and they do not return in the same form. They pass, and once they pass, they become invisible to those who were not paying attention. But now, you will. Now you see it differently. Now you understand that something is already in motion, something subtle but real, something that does not force change, but allows it for those who are aware enough to notice. And that changes everything, because awareness turns an ordinary moment into an opportunity, and an opportunity into a turning point. You are no longer moving through this blindly. You are watching, observing, understanding, and that alone puts you in a completely different position than most people around you. The real question is simple but powerful. What will you do with it? Will you let it pass like every other moment, unnoticed and unused, or will you stay present long enough to recognize what is being shown to you right now? Will you continue reacting the same way, or will you pause and see clearly before making your next move? Because this is where the difference is made, not in some distant future, but right here, inside this small window of time that is already unfolding around you. There is no need for force, no need for pressure, no need to overcomplicate anything, just awareness, just attention, just a willingness to see what is already there instead of rushing past it. And if you hold on to that, even for a little while, you will notice something shift, something subtle but real, something that most people will never even realize they missed. If this opened your eyes even a little, then stay connected, because moments like this are easy to overlook but powerful when understood. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this right now, and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what comes next. Because the more aware you become, the less you miss, and the more control you gain over the direction you are moving in.